Welcome back to the show, guys. It is your host, Tommy the Hammer, hanging out with Amber, BC, Johnny Rocket, and the Haze. Tonight it is Amber's pick. She has chosen the movie Original Sin.
I remember bits and pieces, but not a lot. I kind of remember vaguely the concept, but I can't quite remember it, so.
See, I don't know anything about this movie. What about you guys?
I don't remember this movie ever coming out, honestly. I'm like, what is this? Like,
right?
You know, obviously, well, this is like 2000. Like, yeah, this would not have been the type of flick I was trying to watch at 20 years old. Like,
I have never seen it.
Well, it says on the back here that Roger Ebert gave it thumbs up. I don't know if you guys hold a lot of water in those regards, but I do to a certain extent. I mean,
I respect his opinion.
yeah, of course. So, I mean, there's got to be something about this movie that's, you know, thumbs up worthy. So, without further ado, I'm going to try to dig up the trailer. If it doesn't get it banned, peep that shit. Be right back, motherfuckers. Original Sin.
From the moment I saw her, I loved her.
I give you all the keys to this house, the keys to his heart. You will have to find for yourself.
Take me home now.
You have no shame at all.
Do you believe that pleasure can ever be sinful?
This is your home now. Who was the man?
What man? I was lost, that's all.
I want to give her everything. Be careful, my friend.
I'm just going to get right into the elements about the film that I liked and the elements about it that I didn't like. First and foremost, I like Antonio Banderas. I think he's a great lead. Angelina Jolie is okay. You know, she's serviceable in the role. But the real star of this film has to be the locations. It has to be the costumes and the set design and even the music. I thought that those elements, when you kind of pushed aside maybe, you know, the Hollywood sheen of everything and just got down to what the film, you know, makers were trying to do in terms of cinematic film, I feel like you could enjoy it from that perspective. But outside of that, I thought the movie moved at a snail's pace. The narrative picked up about halfway through, or at least in terms of my own personal opinion. I thought that things got kind of fun when Antonio Banderas was trying to figure shit out. Something about it had this whole like Sherlock Holmes element to it. And then you had, of course, you know, awesome music accompanying him the entire time. So like, when you're watching these scenes, you're involved, you're invested, you're having a good time, and that's what you want with a mainstream Hollywood movie. You want to have a good time.
Well, yeah, it's been a long time. Like, there were certain parts where I was like, oh, I remember that. So, and I knew the like end already.
right, you knew the twist.
Yeah, I knew the twist. So
Yes,
it
no
was funny.
spoilers.
It was funny when you guys were like guessing things because I was like, oh, that person's right, that person's
Saw it
wrong.
coming.
Yeah, so that was fun. But for the most part, yeah, it was the first time seeing it. In, I don't know, I probably watched it in like 2002. Who knows? But yeah, it wasn't as good as I remember thinking it was. So, like, I don't know, I feel like I remember it being a little bit better. But then we rewatched it and I was like, oh yeah, it's not that good. like it was okay. And the story for the most part made sense, but yeah, it was like, oh, that's kind of mediocre.
I mean, I chose this for one reason only, and that was to see our two leads half naked, and to a certain degree, the movie delivered.
Yes.
But outside of that, I mean, it was pretty average. You know, there were some parts that were really funny, and I don't know how, if they were supposed to be as funny as I thought they were, but they did make me laugh pretty hard. So the funny scenes, you know, Angelina Jolie's tits and Antonio Banderas' ass cheeks, that does some things for the movie.
You get a face full.
Yeah, and then the set design was nice, but then, you know, to kind of put this back on a movie we watched in the past, Nothing But Trouble, I feel like this is a movie that probably had like a pretty big budget and some big people behind it, but there wasn't really like a lot of heart in it. Like there was nothing to make me care about anyone.
Just not quite enough substance to it.
Yeah, so it wasn't like the worst thing I've ever seen, but it wasn't the best. It was pretty much just average.
I think this is kind of like your pulpy romance mystery novel brought to life. You know, this is, you know, those, you know, novels with Fabio on the cover that are at the checkout line at the grocery store.
Yeah.
That just made it into a movie with the hot stars of the time. You know, Antonio Banderas in his prime, Angelina Jolie looking fine. You know, like, and obviously we want to see these two hot people get it on. And we do.
Yes.
And I think that's where it kind of runs long, is because we get those extra scenes of some serious like, there was some, like, serious, I was just like, damn, like, this is a little bit more than you would see. Like, I think that's...
but that's good.
That was our director's cut, and it's like, I mean, and I can almost understand why he put that in there to really, like, develop that part of the story of him really falling in love, and maybe she's actually falling for him too and wants to get out of the game, not to spoil too much of the story here, you know, so you know, but it does a really nice polished job of following the story and twists here and twists there until you get to the end, and like, I think
that was insane.
When you, I don't know, I think for me, when you get to the end, it's like, okay, I really should have seen that coming, right? Like, if you were allowing yourself to be drawn into the movie and go along with it, like, you know, of course, right? Of course.
Well, expectations? No, it wasn't anything I expected.
Right.
Because it had that story, it had the layers, it had the spiralness of everything going on.
Okay.
But the cinematography was awesome. Pictures, the scenes.
It was so nice.
Was great. Makes you want to go to Cuba.
Right? Yeah, like
if it really was shot in Cuba.
Yeah, I don't know, if that was shot on location, yeah, that was gorgeous.
But then, you know,
that was.
of course, you know, the nudity was all, you know, what we expected.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was an alright movie. I'll give like a 2 version of a star count. For story-wise, I'd give it about like a 7 or 8 stars for story-wise. You know, for the whole plot and trying to draw me in and just, you know, just of course get my attention with the tits and ass and stuff, I would say it's overall about a 6.5.
Okay, alright, you're at a 6.5. Rocket Doer.
I'm kind of feeling that, actually. I'm gonna give this a solid 6.5, maybe 7 out of 10. I mean, Antonio Banderas does, I mean, he's in his prime here. I mean, I love following this character. It's great. And I will say I was not so drawn in by Angelina Jolie and, you know, her acting job at first. But then I had a thought, like, well, maybe that's actually part of her shtick, because, like, you know, you read the back cover, you go, okay, like, obviously she's a portraying who's not who she says she is, right? So you would think she would be putting on some airs and maybe not, you know, she actually is acting, right? So she actually portrays that person acting very well. So actually, to give her props for her character development throughout this, like, I really think she actually did really well at first. I was kind of like, nah, but then I thought about it some more, like, no, she was actually pretty good in this. You know, I think this is maybe close to the top of her game acting-wise, honestly. So give this out 6.5, 7 out of 10.
And scene.
BC.
I mean, I was the ripe old age of like 3 when this came out, but I can imagine that the trailer was probably like some steamy music with them just like making out, and that's probably what sold this movie. That's my guess. But if I had to break down my star count, I mean, I'll give 1 for some Angelina Jolie tits, 2 for some Antonio Banderas ass cheeks, 3 for the pudding line.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
real good, real good.
There was a couple of zinger lines.
We're going good.
Yeah, and then 4 for the set design, the production, and then I'll give 5 stars for the just absolute raunchiness, disgusting factor of, you know, kind of our real villain of the movie, what's the actor's name?
Thomas Jane?
Yeah, Thomas. You know,
Oh, dude.
it was kind of fun to see him be that raunchy. Like it was
Right.
like gross.
He was
Talk about Rush.
He was
So-
good. He was good.
So like that's my star count broken down. I'm going with a 5.
Even
Yeah.
Stevens.
You're as fresh as my asshole.
Amber, this is from your personal collection. Did this meet your expectations revisiting it all these years, and what's your star count?
I mean, I didn't really have the expectations. I have it in the collection because I like Angelina Jolie. So
Fair enough.
I don't know. I think she did a pretty good job as an actress in this one. Yeah, you're right though. At the beginning, it is kind of like she's kind of
Right,
like,
you pick up
she's
that
kind of
vibe.
shitty.
Yeah, right?
And then
I'm
you
like,
second guess it. though.
But then later on, she does get really good. Like certain scenes, it seems like she's really poured it all. Like there's a scene where he smacks her in the face, and I really think he smacked her in the face. I think going back to star count.
Yeah.
I think overall, just because it wasn't a bad movie, I liked it.
Right.
I'll go with a 7.
Okay.
You know, I'm kind of with BC on this one here. I'm gonna have to say it's like a 5.5, going on towards a 6. I feel like this is that point in Hollywood where things were kind of shifting a little more towards kind of a processed angle. I feel like the early 2000s would eventually give way to the bombasticness that we see here in 2020. But you know, watching this today, 2001, you can still kind of see that Hollywood grit behind it. You know, there was a lot of scenes where the film actually looked like film. You saw some of the grit on the screen, you saw some of the mistakes, and then who the fuck knows? This is the director's cut here, so this version could be very loose cannon. Anyways, guys, I hope we've been informative. Until the next time, tune in to Neon Trash.